We are back this time and we see that we have to go in for one basic question. We shall be in the subsequent sessions develop we shall be developing mathematical model for various processes. But the question which we need to answer before we go in for development of the mathematical models of different processes is why mathematical modeling is required for a good process control, because ultimately our objective is to control the process as an instrumentation and control engineer. But in order to control anything, we need to know it. We must know the process. We must know the behavior of the process. We must know how the process is going to respond to a particular input that is going in the process, and corresponding to that, how is that input ultimately, maybe it's in the form of manipulated variable, maybe it's in the form of disturbance, how it is going to affect the process and how the output will be changing, that should be known to us. And then there are two ways to know it. One is you build the process, you practically change the inputs one by one or in combination, and practically measure the outputs one by one or all at once as may be convenient to you. So this is the experimental approach. Experimental approach can be costly. Experimental approach requires the process to be there, and experiment this approach can be bit dangerous also, because you might end up changing something which may damage the process also. It can be costly. So experimental approach is applied where the models are relatively simple, smaller. You can go in for, and they're already available physically, they are already existing. You can go in for the experimental approach. But the second approach is to go in for the theoretical approach, where you know each and every component of the process, and you know from the physical laws how each component is going to behave. So that is called the theoretical approach. So as such, if you once again focus at the figure, and you first of all identify all the associated variables in the form of inputs and the outputs, and thereafter we want to investigate the behavior of a chemical process under the influence of some external disturbances or manipulated variables, especially how they change with time. How they change with time, we want to know the response with respect to time. So that's why we call it, we are going to get the dynamics of the system. That is the name of the course also, process dynamics. So once you are able to understand the process dynamics, only then you shall be able to control it. And I will elucidate this, I will elaborate this, I will give you proper examples as you have whatsoever little knowledge you have acquired so far. I will be referring to those examples only to further support my this thesis that we do need a good mathematical model for going in for a good process control. First approach, as I said, is experimental approach. So we have to have a physical equipment that should be available to us. So this is the first and the foremost requirement, availability of the physical equipment. Suppose you want to go in for simulations, as we call it these days, that is knowing the behavior without the things being there, then this experimental approach is not valid. It's a simple case. As we said, we used to have wind tunnels, and in a wind tunnel what they used to do was they used to uh, put the plane which is to be flown for the first time. It is put in the wind tunnel, and the wind tunnel blows the wind at the speed exactly equal to at what speed the plane is going to fly in air. And all those forces, that's the upward thrust and the vibrations, are all measured with various sensors, so that we know how the plane is going to behave as we change the various rudders, etc., of the blades of the wing. How the forces are going to change, we experimentally measure it. But then that is a very laborious thing. We need to build the plane first, and then we need to see, and if there are any vibrations, then we need to physically change the plane. When I say plane, I mean aeroplane. So that can be quite a tedious task, but it used to be like that only. But a few years back, this approach, experimental approach, was replaced by the mathematical approach, the theoretical approach, and Boeing 777 was uh, tested totally on simulation, no wind tunnel, nothing of that sort, and everything was the set of mathematical models, and all those design parameters, how the plane was built and how the plane needs to be controlled, was done theoretically, totally theoretically, through simulations, because simulation means we are going to go in for the computer simulation, which requires mathematical model. So mathematical model means mathematical equations, very well known mathematical equations. So the plane was flown for the first time without testing, and it went off very well. So same is the case with the process. Same is the case with process. We might go in for, rather we do go in for many times, the proper modeling of how the process will be once it is actually physically built. So that's all done theoretically. So we go in for experimental approach for building the model, which is also sometimes called a black box model. In black box approach, what we go in for is you have this black box as the process, and you really don't bother about the theoretical equations of the mathematical equations of the process in terms of the theory concerned with in terms of the physics which is there, but you simply give some input in the form of stimulus to the practical physical equipment. You measure the output and you record it, and this black box is also programmed in the manner that if the same input goes to the black box, you should get the same output. What is inside the black box, you don't actually bother much about it. This is a self-learning kind, or these days you call it machine learning. This black box learns only by the inputs and the outputs. The actual inputs of the physical model are recorded, actual outputs of the physical model are recorded, and this black box gets programmed by itself. So this is the experimental approach. But of course, this experimental approach, it requires good amount of time and effort, and sometimes it can be risky, as I said, and it can be very costly. And the most important thing is that the process has to be available. If the process is not available, this experiment approach of, or you can call it the black box approach, it cannot be applied. It's there only once the process is there, only then you can go in for experimental approach. The second approach, as I said, is theoretical approach, and let's see how is that. Theoretical approach, as I have been just telling you so far, we can design the control system for a chemical plant or a chemical process even before the process has been constructed. Even before, we just cannot rely on the experimental procedures. We know exactly how the chemical process will behave, what will be its dynamic behavior, how it's going to respond to various inputs, and how the output is going to change with respect to time also. This all is given in terms of mathematical equations, the different algebraic equations or the different differential equations, and the solution of these differential equations is going to give us what is the dynamic or the static behavior. Static is once for all, once everything is steady, and dynamics, how they're going to change with time. That is all known to us through these mathematical equations. But in that case, we need to understand each and everything inside the process. We need to have a thorough knowledge of the physics behind it, and that's why All these equations are used to, these are very simple equations to start with, to get to know the theoretical approach or the mathematical model. And that's very, very important to go in for this mathematical modeling of a process control. Once we say mathematical modeling for a process control, to give you a better insight of that, we take example of, as you can see, this is example of feed forward control. Why feed forward control? You see, this is a process and this is acted upon by a disturbance. You can see this disturbance is measurable. This is the precondition, as I have told you earlier also. I'll be repeating later also sometimes, that this disturbance is measurable. And this disturbance is going to change the output. This is going to change the output, and we don't want this change. We don't want this change. We want this to remain in controlled level, in the controlled points only. So what we do is, if we know the proper mathematical model of this process, if is a big if, then we can build a controller. This controller knows that if there is any change in disturbance, let us say this disturbance, whenever this increases, the output increases to certain amount, and we don't want that output to change, and the controller knows it. So the controller measures the disturbance, and the controller also knows that if this manipulated variable is also changed in such a manner that, again, the dynamics of this process are known to the controller, that the change in this manipulated variable is equal and opposite to the output. It also knows that if I change the manipulated variable in which direction, to what account, that the output should change, which should be equal and opposite to the change in output brought in by the disturbance. Then the moment this disturbance acts upon the process, that very moment this controller quickly changes the manipulated variable, so that whatsoever is the effect of disturbance on the output, the effect of manipulated variable on the same output is equal and opposite. So ultimately this output remains at the same level. It doesn't change, it remains controlled. But for this, once again, my dear friends, this process should be known to us very accurately. How the disturbance is going to affect the output, how the manipulated variable is going to affect the process and affect the output. Thereafter, this process should be very well known to us. Mathematically speaking, the the effect of disturbance on the process is known. So this F1 should be known very accurately so that we can predict what should be the change in output, and the effect of change in manipulated variable should also be known for the same output, that is this F2 is a function, it's a mathematical function, it's a model. So F1 is also a model, F2 is also a model, this is also a mathematical function, this is also a mathematical function. If these two are very accurately known to the controller, then this controller can be designed even if we do not have the process, but we have these mathematical set of equations or the models or these functions as such. Then in that case we can say that we can come to the point where the effect of disturbance and the effect of manipulated variable, they being equal and opposite, because they're equal and opposite over here, they can be ultimately negated, they can be nullified. It means that we have been able to control the process in this feed forward controller if this F1 and F2 are known to us. That is, the mathematical model of this process is known to us. And if this mathematical model of this process is not known to us, this feed forward control is simply not possible. I think this is one good example to bring home the point that we do need a mathematical model Without that, we cannot go in for process control. So this answers the questions why mathematical modeling for process control. And we can go in for one more example just for your satisfaction. Otherwise, even this example is quite good and is sufficient as such. The second case, as we see, is again, if you see, this is a process, and this process is taking a feedback, but this feedback is only for the outputs which can be measured. Actually, it wants to control the variables which are unmeasured. You want to control the variable, but these are unmeasured. So what we can do is that this is called inferential control. From the unmeasured variables, you cannot, without these unmeasured variables, you cannot actually manipulate the variable, because you cannot take the feedback is taken from the variables which are measurable. So what you're going to do is that from these measured output, you are going to infer, you are going to estimate the controlled variables. And it's again a way of feedback, but the feedback is not getting directly from here, but we are getting it from here, provided if we know the process well. If we know the process well, then from the measured variables, that can be estimated making use of the measured outputs. This is again possible only if we are in proper hold of the process. We know the process, we know the dynamics of the process, we know the mathematical equations which are governing the process. So to say, the control objective as such, if you can see, the control objective is to get the uncontrolled variable from the measured output. So the function of that is going to give us the kind of controlled variable which was earlier unmeasurable. It's inferred, it's guessed only when this process is totally known to us. So friends, these are the two examples which fully justify the need of a good, accurate, precise mathematical model that should be there for building a good process controller. I hope you have got the gist of why we need a mathematical model for a good process control. In case you have any queries, or you have something to share with me, or you want to have some doubts cleared, you can always contact me through WhatsApp or Zoom, or through my cell phone, or may have some physical face-to-face interactions as well as the situation may be. I thank you for being with me, and I am quite sure that you must have enjoyed learning this aspect of mathematical modeling as well. I wish you a very safe stay. Bye bye.